that is the weather. But moving into couch talk because it juicy, it hot, it ready for no.
You make it sound like they want a meal.
Yeah, well, you know what? It could be a drink too.
We'll be
drink
serving-
this tea right now
We'll be
because we
serving
have
a
Jules
lot.
on set. And I remember when we first started off the show, yeah, Jules said how he had never left on this couch, but look.
Jules said a lot of things, yeah?
Come on now.
Jules said
I
a
think
lot
we need
of
to give
things.
her a mug.
No, we don't give him no mug. Why? Because, Jules, what happened yesterday? What was the conversation? Monday?
Morning beef.
And what day is today?
Today is Tuesday.
So explain it to
Can't
me.
leave Tuesday now.
But, it's Tuesday. It's the Tuesday triple.
Okay.
We did a triple shuffle in the cabinet. It's a triple shuffle.
That was a nice one.
That was good. I get a point to that. I get 1 whole point for that one.
All right.
So, Jules,
How do you
Misha.
feel about this shuffle and everything?
The first statement I have to make, Michelle Shabbat, senior counsel. Pablo Saul Marin, electrician. Michelle Shabbat, senior counsel, lasted 14 months as Minister of Health. Pablo Saul Marin, electrician, lasted 12.5 years. 12.5 years of suboptimal performance, 12.5 years of, let us say, not unimpeachable standards in his conduct of public life. Let's be euphemistic. But this shows what a house on fire the Ministry of Health was, that the Prime Minister had to pull the plug on senior counsel Michelle Shabbat. The pressure upon the Prime Minister from persons in the cabinet, from persons in his party, from the medical community, trusted advisors to the government. Everyone was telling them, we cannot work with this individual. Please shuffle him. The pressure upon the Prime Minister was intense, and he finally caved.
Yep.
And it shows that Michelle Shabbat was a disaster as the Minister of Health because he could not work with people. At the end of the day, you may enter the public service and you may distrust everyone around you, but you have to work with these people.
Exactly.
This is a critical shift in the PUP thinking. And it's Michael Finnegan who pointed this out to me. In 1984, when the UDP won and they had never been in office, they went in and said, all on our PUP, we ain't get rid of all on. You cannot, because the public service, these public servants who you think the PUP, who are just people trying to survive,
Right.
and to get a salary under whichever ignoble and unhappy regime is ruling in Belmopan. So the UDP went in 84 after never being in power and just said, we ain't get rid of all, no. We don't work with you, we isolate you, no. And that created a lot of problems in their term. The PUP has always been the party of inclusion, has always been the party that said, okay, who are the smart people in that drafted UDP? Like we just bring them over. Who we could bring over? The PUP has always been a party that has tried to, on the side, Musa and George Price, that has tried to include and recruit people.
Yeah.
I make this point to say that after this 13-year spell, they got in with a lot of newly elected people who aren't familiar with that, and they entered ministries with a high level of distrust, and they alienated public officers. The Ministry of Health right now is like a car going downhill at 100 miles an hour.
On fire.
On fire.
I just want that shot thing.
Which is what Omicron and Delta are. I'm saying that that is the natural state of affairs because we're in a pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to change the tires on this vehicle while it's moving 100 miles an hour. That's the job of the Minister of Health. And to do that, you need every monkey wrench, every hand on deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Michelle Shabbat did not do that. He did not build from a consensus position. He isolated, alienated, and PO'd a lot of people.
Yeah.
Jules, you said 14 months. Give me at least a synopsis of what happened in a short 14 months.
It was, from the start, he entered with this really sort of almost a UDP sense of we're born out. There is an incident that's not publicized. When he arrived at the ministry, there was a picture of the old minister as a standard because, you know, their deities.
Yeah.
We must have pictures of ministers up at every ministry. That's the status quo.
Right.
Delusional. But anyway, and they had a picture of the old minister. They said Pablo Saul Marin. No, man, you know, personally get involved with change anything. Just make somebody else go in there and say, move that thing, election done. That's fair. But I understand quite a fit was made about it, personally made, and this sort of set the tone for a tenure that then moved on to. I remember when we started to question the hiring of his transition team, those people right there,
Yeah.
Raul Ibanez, Jeffrey Wade, Carrie Madley, when we started to question him, he snapped. This was the first time we saw, that was the interview right there. He snapped at Courtney. I think he cut the eye a little bit after Courtney.
But
Right?
now is it get it?
Yeah.
I swear.
So on this next interview, you can see he almost he's chomping at the mic.
Right.
So, but what happened is that we know for question he. We know for question he.
Yeah.
And I have a problem with that. Man, it's the people that make you know, right? And we, the media, have to, the people can't go there and ask no questions. So even if you think we're frivolous or vexatious or annoying, you have to indulge us. Yes,
Right.
we can have a difference of opinion, and there can be sharp words, but you can't consistently dismiss people and bite them off and refuse to engage when you are managing a public health crisis. And what you need in a public health crisis, you need consent from the public. How do you get consent? Through trust. How do you build trust? By being open and transparent. So I'm saying that, so that's the first time we saw that personality, that he's snappy and intolerant of being questioned. After that, a series of unfortunate events occurred. And I think it started with the thing, I don't think it started there, but in public it started with the thing with his driver.
Right.
I think the gentleman, I can't recall his last name offhand, but his driver, you know, he had a scene, a fit, and he was doing political entitlement thing. This is kind of political thuggery that the UDP and PUP have been doing for decades.
Yeah.
Right.
Drivers are demigods. The ministers are gods in the constellation, in the cabinet constellation. And that's why I'm so amused at the religious affairs, because our religion is cabinet. We'll get to that. But my point is, I mean, that's how Belmopan run. But my point is that, Minister Michelle came out and said, you know, damn, this really hurts me. This guy is one of my captains. And that's real in politics. Politics is built on loyalty, and you cannot turn your back on a loyalist. But what he did was, he said that, you know, I can't tolerate it, he has to go. And how these things are usually handled in politics, you retain him in some other way, and
Yeah.
you keep him, but Michelle brought him back as his driver.
Right. Uh-huh.
Right? And so, you know,
Just a couple, like a little while after, I mean, the dust settled.
Time
though,
out,
first,
time
yeah.
out, time
Yeah.
I mean, the dust settle, you know?
yeah, but
Give a time out.
there's a public record, you know? There's a public record. You can't just make the dust settle. No, so I'm just saying that these things, they count, right? If you want to have an unimpeachable standard in public life, you can't do these things.
Right. Yeah.
When you say that you go and get rid of somebody, you have to get rid of somebody. So that was indicative of something. But what I think really undermined him in the ministry was, okay, so you need to get rid of Dr. Manza. I understand these things happen. You can work with the man. But it has been this thing throughout that Dr. Manza, had no plan. Well, I don't see if you no plan yet, and if you no can plan 525 people dead since the UDP, not your fault. But which plan can we have to stop COVID? Show me the plan, because that plan would have changed every day.
Right.
United States has 1.3 million new cases reported yesterday. That's a global record.
Yeah.
Which plan? I'm saying so the whole thing was Manzagana cabinet without a plan. Okay, show me your plan there. I don't see if it ain't plan yet, because there can be none, it's not their fault. But don't create a false premise. Second, their inability to handle the Dr. Manzanero problem is a critical fail. These things happen. UDP switch up a lot of DHS. DHS is a hard person to move because of public service
Right.
regulations. You cannot demote them,
Yeah.
and you can't promote them because of CEO. UDP handle 2 DHS situations with Polonio, Polanco, and Pitts.
Right.
Those things were massaged. You have to sit down with people and tell them, listen, here we're going to happen. Same salary, but we have to move on. But I'm saying that these things have to be consultative. These are senior public officers. You have to treat people with respect.
Yep.
And the inability to handle this with finesse was a critical fail. I mean, at the end of the day, Dr. Manzanero outlasted Michelle Shabbat. Real talk.
Yeah.
Doctor, by only a few weeks, because he's going shortly. He's been made redundant. But he outlasted Michelle Shabbat. But I'm saying how that was one of the major tensions. Now, behind that, you have Minister Michelle's team. And these are things that erode your support in the ministry. We're reliably informed that 2 members of his team, they take ministry vehicles and are not, let's say, fully engaged in ministerial activities. Then they do political work like I or not. And they have Toyota Hiluxes. See, those are the vehicles right there.
Right.
So these things, again, erode support within the ministry. Then you have special case, Raul Ibanez, Dr. Ibanez, we sometimes call him, because he was listed at a conference. I believe it's a Taiwanese who paid for them to go, but listed as Dr. Ibanez at a conference. James, I think we have that. Still shot in there in the images. There is a page with a Dr. Ibanez. Maybe I didn't send it, but I'm saying that. So this is, from what we understand, one of his former campaign manager and one of his most trusted. And he comes in the ministry with a sense of ministerial entitlement. That's his work permit. Expired in 17 December 2021. I hope he has a renewal. Perhaps he won't need it. But my point is that that I understand that this person had a corrosive effect on people in the ministry because he not like a king. That was the perception, that he came in and he comes in with the authority of the minister, and so many people are alienated. We listed in the news last night all the posts that are vacant and unfilled. And then what happens is that because you come in with this UDP attitude, this UDP 1984 attitude of, we get rid of this, we move this one, you can't do that. No work so in a public service.
Right.
Public service are like a vehicle that you have to consult before you put it in a gear.
Right,
You can't just change up gear. This is not a race car. This is like an old Bedford. You must press the clutch gently and see if you give permission for going
And never
first.
gentle at all.
So I'm saying that a lot of transfers started to happen. So all these things have a corrosive effect for support inside the ministry. And then you alienate the core institutional support, and that's when things start to fail.
And this is one important ministry in these times.
So then, and that's happening privately, then publicly. And then in the private healthcare sector, the PUP came in, we're going to have a consultative approach. Well, then stop consult, or then stop listen to the doctors, because they have their own dictates they will go on. That's fine. But then you lose the private partnership, and these are the people. Dr. Fernando Cuellar was the most outspoken.
Yeah.
But behind closed doors, everybody was saying the same thing. Everybody was saying the same thing, and that they can't work with this man. And that came to a flashpoint, a critical flashpoint with the KHMH situation. You have to understand how key this is. So Dr. Tewes is appointed. The chairman wasn't there, he had COVID. And the board, which includes his cousin and his cousin's son-in-law, who is the minister's first cousin. It was not a happy arrangement from the start. You can't put your cousin there on board. Anyway,
Okay.
this is the order of the day in politics. So then they select this guy, Dr. Mike Tewes, a vet to be the CEO administrator. And the union stood up immediately. Everybody said, we don't work for this man. And so it was a massive repudiation of the board's will and of the ministers. He spoke in favor of Dr. Terwes. By 6 p.m., he was toast by tea time.
Yep.
Basically.
Right? They got rid of him by 6 p.m. or they rescinded that decision to appoint him. And that had to be the prime minister getting involved. So again, a critical situation where the minister's will was, or the board's will was pushed back, and the board is stuck with ministerial favorites. It wasn't any longer because there was an ultimatum sent by the board that these people have to be moved from the board,
Yeah.
including told one of your legal colleagues who was on the board, who is a big Michelle Chabad supporter. So 3 persons were purged from the board, including the minister's cousin and the cousin's father-in-law, and said legal practitioner. And the board was reconstituted. It was a major pushback. So then, a few weeks later, the tension continues. You might change the board, but you still have to deal with the ministry. And so, Misha Shabat is already, I imagine, a little bit hot about this. And the media confronts him in San Pedro, and he says they have to get their act together. And that pushed an explosion button.
Yep.
Because the failing was at the ministry's level. And when he did that, it had the effect of creating a war with the board. And, Cuellar resigned 2 days later, and they had an extremely tense meeting with the chairman of the board. And you can see in the body language after that meeting, the chairman of the board, Dr. Andres Sosa, is standing almost like you stand upside of people who got leprosy.
Right.
Because like a group picture was taken with Shabat and Sabido, the 2 from Ministry of Health, and Hochandani and Sosa. But I mean, Sosa is standing at such an angle you can sense the tension in the picture. I'm just saying that this was the prevailing atmosphere. You cannot run everything on conflict. This is a 1 year in. We're in a crisis. You have to build consensus. You have to work with people. But I don't know, man. This guy just had a difficulty. He just had how do I call it? Oppositional defiance disorder. I don't know. It's just like a really tough situation. So it came to a head. Prime Minister really did not want to remove him because you injure the man politically. It'll be tough for him in Cayo North. A, he can't deliver the goods and services, but B, the humiliation.
Right.
Yeah.
We have a long press release here, 2 pages that the government put out, but really this press release is, we need to move Misha. That's what this press release is.
Basically,
That's what I'm saying,
that
that-
triggered everything.
Like, you got a lot of lyrics in there, right? But they're like... we
But
need
not
to
only
move
that,
Misha.
what I have to say is trying to, make sure, look like directly we're moving Minister Shabat, we're reshuffling overall.
Yeah.
But what does the placements of these portfolios too is I was like, so transport, sports, youth and sport.
Makes no sense.
I just want somebody sell it to me. Another way I'm gonna sell it to Abdul. Just sell it to me.
So first thing, Kevin Bernard is made minister. If the prime minister was serious about getting us through this pandemic, he would have made a doctor be a senator and brought in a technician to take care of the Ministry of Health. We haven't even spoken about the contracts and the absolute lack of transparency and the fact that the ministry has no money because the money has been spent on contracts for pharmaceuticals, etc. But there is no transparency, and there is a lot of concern about if these contracts are of a optimal and unimpeachable nature. That aside, if you want to fix this situation, Mr. Prime Minister Briceño would have put a technician there. This has been done in many other countries. In Portugal, it's been done to great success when you put a military person there to run it like a war.
Yeah.
But no, he put a politician who is under his direct dominion and control. Kevin Bernard, great guy, very publicly engaging, is a pawn of John Briceño. He's a satellite of the Briceño political machine in Orange Walk. He was successful as mayor because of the Briceño political machine. He was successful, yes, on his own accord as well, very likable, very amiable guy. But at the end of the day, his success in Orange Walk East is a part of the Briceño political machine. That's why he is there. And he's there so that the Prime Minister can have instrumentalized control of the Ministry of Health. And that concerns me. That is not, in my mind, an optimal decision. If you want to come clean after Minister Shabat, after the debacle of the Shabat's 14 months, you will appoint a technician. Yes, I understand cabinet is full. You already have 2 senator ministers. There are limitations on that. But this is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Chris Coy can happily return to his law practice and treasurer of the PUP and do everything that needs to be done. I'm saying this is a real crisis, and it will continue to be. So I just feel how that is a problem. But so now you're taking away youth and sports, which youth and sports is always the most expendable portfolio because we not give a damn and we not give an R. Those are the two things. Two things.
Right. So
On handle yourself, man. You got a lot of energy. Run both that as sports. So I think Kevin Bernard came in with a lot of energy. It's been a very tough time for sports because of COVID.
Yeah.
And I really want to think that he did have, from what he said, a very clear vision for sports and good energy. But these ministries have been relegated. These are the most transferred ministries. You know why? Because they're not going no money and nobody want it.
Right.
Real talk.
True.
But I really had liked the articulation that Kevin Bernard had done. We couldn't see it in action. And we know you have worked in the Department of Youth. I won't put you in a compromising situation. But the Department of Youth is just a footnote, really. How it is handled, it should be more important. But we don't value those things in politics. We value Christian fundamental principles as a liaison. We ain't get to that.
I can't wait for each other. I'll tell you that right now.
But I'm saying how that's just a handover.
Yeah.
Because Rodwell Ferguson is a deputy leader of the PUP, and he has to be given a senior ministry.
Yeah.
So utilities, logistics, and transport, that's a senior ministry. So you're taking away from that. You have to give something, put something back in the basket. Boy, I don't got much. So it's like I take out one, it's, you know, it's not sirloin, but I take out 2 pieces of steak and I have to put in because youth and sports like 2 vegetables. Here when I give some high-tech vegetable, I give an eggplant. That's a good veg. Is that a veg? Not sure. And then I give one high protein, like legumes or something in there. Like they're not real protein.
Give us soy. Give us soy or tofu.
Tofu, you know, it's nutritious. You know, nice.
My goodness.
But it's good for you. So that's really just a balancing up to give him something so that he's not humiliated, because we can only humiliate one minister at a time. We know they are gods. Their drivers are demigods. So that's, and then we have, so he's the Minister of Transport, Youth and Sports. It's not, it rhymes, transport, sports.
Transport, youth and sports. Because you're going to say sports after the transport.
Yeah. It messes up the rhythm.
Yeah.
Transport, youth. I can see a rap song somewhere in the future about this.
Oh, maybe Honorable Shine do it for you, and then you put it pan champs to when it's
Drink
drink.
champs?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think
weed
you will
legal, no, you could
I
give
think-
one a lead digestive. I mean, only, you know.
Then religious affairs with.
Yes.
So hold
Let
on,
us
let's deal with
affairs.
Francis Fonseca first.
Okay.
In addition to his current responsibilities, so he loses nothing. That's why the Prime Minister is trusted senior minister, a veteran of public office. He will be responsible for e-governance, which Kevin Bernard also had, which is an important area.
Yeah.
That's a developing area. And I think he can competently handle that. It's a big portfolio he has now.
Yes.
Because education is already huge. And Henry Charles Usher will, in addition to his responsibilities, will now be responsible for religious affairs. Yo, I got a problem with that. That's an assignment, not a portfolio. They didn't say it's a portfolio, but they put it in a release about ministerial responsibilities. But it's, you know, I have a problem with what he said on the news, that it's about where God is enshrined in Constitution, fine, but Christian fundamental principles. We are a pluralistic society.
Yes.
There are and we are increasingly, and the 2022 census will show this, increasingly not a Christian society.
Exactly.
So how can you, and even the Christians are token, many of them, I know many are devout and I understand that, but we have Muslims, we have Hindus, we have so many other religions that how can you say that fundamental Christian principles, that offends me. That's so exclusive.
Thank you
That's
very
so
much.
20th century. That's so retrograde. And whenever a politician says two words, community or religion, they have taken off their usual hat of all the things we associate with politicians and put on their biggest hypocrite hat.
Yeah.
Once those words are mounted, hold on to your wallet, hold on to your heart, because then it can't fail. I have a real problem when politicians start to invoke religion.
Yeah.
I have a real problem with it. That's my thing. I know some people are heartened by it. If you're heartened by it, I wish you well, but 90% of all public interactions with politicians are guided by expediency, where they want to get out of something.
Yeah.
So it's not like, boy, we really need to bring the state back to fundamental Christian principles. It's we want to pay token respect to this sector.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a problem with it, especially the mouthing of Christian fundamental principles.
Jules, in the interest of time,
Yes.
make we rush
It's
through
time,
because
does time exist?
Yes, time
swear.
does exist on this show.
It does?
Yes.
But the next bombshell we drop is the letter from Michael Perifeet to Brisenia asking about this $15 million.
Well,
in
the Prime Minister answered him
Uh-huh.
late in the day, a very snappy letter. It didn't make the news because I received it late in the day and it was a very full news night, but allow me to just read it quickly.
Aha.
He make Microdon look bad. Hold on, make a pull that up.
You hear it here and sun up first.
Hold on.
Let's drink my water.
He make Mike
and-
Perfeet, what did I say? Mike Perfeet look bad.
And you send
So-
it to the control room there, the producer?
Yeah, I can send it. Guys, I'm sending this now. So allow me to read it quickly because,
Sure.
as I say, it didn't make the news last night. So I sent it into the room. And what this letter says, it's a long letter.
Oh my.
It's two plus pages, and it is very snarky. But it really put Mike Perfeet in a lead place. It says, I'll just kind of snap through it. I am surprised by your concern regarding the professionals who spearheaded and coordinated the recent super bond and blue bond transactions and the costs attached to that process, because it's a process that you and other members of the previous administration claim to know so well. You also knew, Mr. Perfeet, the identities of the lawyers and advisors who were paid to facilitate the process, because they're the very individuals and entities who worked on the process during the borough administration. So this is like, sit down, Lee boy, because obviously
think you know, but you don't know.
you knock your head, or you play like you don't know. So make a school you publicly. Anyway, so it goes on at great and prolific explanatory length to say that, and it also brings up, I ask that you remember that your administration spent on a similar undertaking and compare the results, the relative yield for every dollar spent, and the disparity in the amount of bang your administration and mine respectively got for their buck. So now it's gone back to the regular PUD beating. Well, I spent 15 million, but I saved 250 million. You spend 10 million and you only save 20 million. You ain't dead. You like, yo, right? So no, it's like that's that, right? Like it's literally.
No, watch me, watch yourself.
Yeah, watch me, watch yourself, and you ugly. So that can hurt.
Mirror
Right?
Brock.
Mirror Brock, crack up. So anyway, but it does answer him, Eventually, I think at the end of page 2, guys, are we able to
I
bring
feel
up
like
the
we,
letter?
you need to like post this letters.
Yeah.
Never send it, Jules.
I
Never
think
send
you
it.
know
Yeah.
what we're gonna be.
No, I sent it.
Or
I'm
probably
sure I see it somewhere.
The net.
All right.
You're not
you
the
not got
bug.
it? It didn't send. Okay, my
But
bad then.
sadly, we do have to move on again.
Yeah.
Time constraints it's getting pretty late for our coach talk. So one more thing we do want to just pinpoint is the fact that the COVID
I see
numbers.
right from his computer, like, yo.
You see, but
Yeah.
you don't want to be seen on the screen right now at this present moment.
And he didn't, yeah, so here's the,
Oh, here it is,
we
here
can
it
bring
is.
it
Oh,
up.
okay, okay.
Yeah. Here's the letter, and you can see how long it is. The good news is I don't think the Prime Minister actually wrote it. So you don't have to worry
The
about
good
him
news.
spending, because to write a letter like this takes 2 days, right? I think he got a professional in his office to write it, which is fine. But it's quite sharp and quite well written.
Let me enhance your
Let
awareness.
me enhance your
Wow.
awareness.
However,
Fool.
of key financial facts.
And let me tell you, I know about drafting these letters here. So when you use words like that, they're like thick. That.
Yes, take that.
He's like,
take
let me
that,
answer
take
you.
that.
Make I tell you what it
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. So
Oh,
These
these figures should seem familiar to you
Okay.
because of October 26th.
I
Ooh,
provided
wow.
an outline. Yeah.
This is a comprehensive
I
list.
ask that you remember what your administration spent on a similar undertaking and compare the results. So
Man,
Yeah.
this would I really be like.
So it names all the law firms though. And you can see the fees were dispersed to the following firms. Stop it right there. City Capital, Hallmark Advisory, Sullivan and Cromwell, Oric and Harrington, Sutcliffe, David Polk and Wardwell. So you have like 9 super New York law firms
Wow, them
who charge,
melon.
as Brandon will know, they don't charge by the hour, they charge by the second.
I just
So-
love that how it is italicized over here. So your
Your
administration-
administration spent $4.5 more on debt restructuring than the cost of this year's
I'm
dual
gonna
transaction.
capitalize
While
your. I'm gonna
increasing
capitalize
the
your.
super bondholders claim by $103 million.
Oh, but
Now, what's so perfect is that the same people have been involved throughout,
Yeah.
right? Only the political directorate has changed. The same people, the same advisors, the same Hallmark Advisory, the same Citigroup. Everybody has. It's everybody. It's you know. It's just
I love what's bolded.
PUDP. It's just
just-
PUDP P contest. Sorry.
All right.
So we have one more thing to touch. That guys, please load the meme, the Kevin Bernard meme. That's so good though. That's Kevin
What?
Bernard.
That's what Jules wanted
on
to
day
get
one.
into the meme culture.
So.
Yeah, that's the.
We'll
that's the
show them the
important one.
meme and we'll wrap up for coach talk.
Yes. Because I could talk for 2 hours on any given
And we
morning.
would love to, I'm pretty sure the audience out there would love to
Right.
have you
Well,
talk.
But so
have
weekend
guests
COVID
on
numbers, 1,181 cases. That's,
Yes,
that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's 493 a day. So we're seeing consistently 500 to 600
Yep.
cases
Yeah.
every day.
Yep.
America, United States, I'm going to say this again, 700,000 per day on the weekend. They came out at the weekend with 1.3 million, the most ever reported on a single day anywhere in the world. And with these types of numbers, yes, Omicron may be less severe, but with these types of numbers, the hospitalizations have to increase.
Yeah.
It's just, it's
Indeed,
a crisis.
indeed.
So with the tech serious thing, make joke, but Kevin Bernard enters a room on fire. And, he is a first-time minister. He was a multiple-term mayor in Orange Walk. And that's the room of fire. No CEO, no DHS, Omicron, and the Ministry of Health is literally on fire. So that's him coming in with the pizza. But
Welcome, Ministry of Health.
the room is on fire. Just, if you'll please indulge me, let's go over the posts that are vacant, and I have to pull this up quickly. The posts that are vacant right now.
The
One
smile
second.
on his face just is priceless, There's so much optimism.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that yes, he's
And he just
experienced.
found out yesterday morning, apparently. When
Yeah,
he
he
when
found
he spoke
out
about
yesterday morning,
consultation,
yeah.
that was that.
Yeah. So it's an extremely live situation he has entered, and it will be very interesting to see how how he, who is the CEO.
Yeah.
That's the critical thing. You're entering a ministry without a CEO, without a DHS. They've named 3 directors to replace the DHS, and none of them have been appointed yet.
I got you.
So
All this
there's
trouble to get rid of DHS and none and I have none.
there's no top leadership. So I want to read all the vacancies that are going through senior administrative posts. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has no functioning DHS. The 3 new directors, public health, hospital services, international health, were all supposed to replace that now redundant post, but they have not been filled. There's a deputy DHS, but if the DHS is redundant, right?
Then how did
so is the deputy, right? Second, and then there's no CEO. We know that. There's no national epidemiologist. The only epidemiologist left is working because of punitive action. Is working at Central Health Region in a lab, like cleaning vials, how you call it, leaf brush that the made us use in school. Yeah, with the beaker, cleaning beakers. I'm just saying that he's the only epidemiologist we have, and he's not this is an epidemiological crisis. That's what COVID is, and he's not at the office. Hold on. So there's no national epidemiologist. Russell Manzanero, Central Health Region. There's no director of laboratory services, no regional manager in the south, no confirmed regional manager in the north, no hospital administration at the Western Regional, no confirmed deputy manager in the west, no confirmed regional manager for the Central Region because the deputy, Melissa Musa, is only acting. No, these are hanging chads. These are things that you can sort of fix through Ministry of Public Service, but I'm just saying there are a lot of hanging chads.
Yeah.
There's no directorate of the Drug Inspectorate Unit. She was exiled because of UDP. No confirmed head of the IT department. And no confirmed head of the pharmacy department.
Honorable Bernard, we wish you well.
No, we have to wish him well. I'm fully behind the guy.
I'll do extra special prayer for him tonight because he would definitely need it. Woo!
That was so much. But with that, guys, I mean, we need to wrap up.
We got to wrap up. We have our first guest that's probably waiting on Zoom. We have Senator Kevin Herrera that's going to be talking to us, guys, about the Omicron and the recent report of COVID surges in the business. So, I know we have businesses. So, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. We'll have this short commercial break, and we'll have that conversation for you.